hope everyone's doing okay out there today. Staying safe. Weather's getting warmer. Almost the end of the winter here. I'm just coming off of an oil call. Got to run back to the shop and see if I got some parts for this lady. But I'm just kind of going through some of my own thoughts here, and I wanted to share some of them. I'm sure some of the more experienced technicians out there will appreciate some of this, and so will some of the newbies. But yeah, maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't. Anyways, I'm just thinking about it. I hold tickets and training certification, whatever you want to call it, in gas heating, so gas fitting. I got a journeyman refrigeration mechanic in residential, but also trained on propane, electric furnaces, fuel oil, waste oil, heat pumps. I just want to stick to the fossil fuel, carbon-based combustion here right now, though. It really doesn't matter what you're working on. If you go back to fundamentals, right, what do we need for combustion? That's kind of where my mind's at right now and what I want to talk about. So it doesn't matter what your fuel type is or what type of appliance you're working on. You need three things for combustion, right? You need a fuel source, you need oxygen, and you need an ignition source. So, whether it's natural gas, fuel oil, propane, whether it's a natural draft appliance, whether it's induced draft, power vented, forced draft, it really doesn't matter. You have, at the basis for that appliance, those are the three parts that you need for that appliance to operate, right? So we have a burner section, we have a valve usually. In the case of an oil furnace, you have a pump instead of a valve. You might have a solenoid attached to that pump. So gas furnace or propane furnace, you're going to have gas piping or fuel piping. On a oil furnace, you're probably going to have tubing, copper tubing. Maybe that there's a special orange jacketed tubing that you can use. But that's right. If you're going to go on a service call and you're looking at why is this unit not working, you have to think about the basics of that unit, right? So we have a few sections on that. On any appliance, you're going to have a burner section, you're going to have a venting section, you're going to have a heat exchanger. And then beyond that, you're going to have your ignition system. You're going to have a fan to move the air through the home. Maybe if you're hydronics, you're going to have some pumps instead of some fans. But you just break it all down into fundamentals and, go from there, right? You got your thermostat, which is calling for heat or not calling for heat. And series of sequence of operation, right? What does the unit do when there is a call for heat? So on this one in particular, we're on an oil furnace, right? The first thing that has to happen is, and because this is an older unit, we get fuel and ignition at the same time. So both the burner motor, which drives your pump, as well as giving power to your transformer, that all happens at the same time when there's a call for heat. And of course that power runs through your stack relay as a safety, runs through your fan and limit as a safety. So you got to make sure you have power to that burner motor, power to your stack control, power to your limit control, power to your thermostat. Do we have ignition? Is the transformer providing a good spark, just like an ignition module? Are we getting good spark? Is the spark happening where we want it at the igniter, or are we losing spark somewhere? gas furnace, you would have a spark wire connecting the module to the igniter. On an oil furnace, you have buzz bars, typically are copper plate or a steel alloy type of, call it a pin. And then again, on a gas furnace, you have your orifices. On an oil furnace, you have your nozzle. Gas furnace, you have your gas pressure you have to worry about. Oil furnace, you have oil pump pressure you have to worry about. What's your burner motor RPM, right? So all these things matter, and you gotta be checking all of them. What's your nozzle size? That's gonna be like your orifice size. And then your burner pump pressure. How hard are you pushing the oil through that nozzle? What size is it? What angle is it? What type is it? Is it solid? Is it hollow? Is it semi-hollow? Semi-solid? There is a difference between those last two. And here's a real big tip, something I see constantly done wrong in the field. There is going to be a range on every oil furnace for how many gallons per hour you can put into that heat exchanger. But hear me clearly. Do not change the angle of spray or the type of spray. Okay? Because those two things, the heat exchanger and the shape and size and type of heat exchanger, are designed around that nozzle, and the nozzle is selected on it. They play into each other. Do not change your angle and your type. Okay, you can change your gallons per hour, and you can increase or decrease the amount of BTUs per hour that unit is putting out. We can speed up or slow down our fan if we want by changing pulleys and belt sizes. But do not change the oil nozzle type or angle of spray. Anyways, on this call, I have a transformer I've got to go get, and hopefully I've got it. I'm sure I do. We're going to get that fixed up. I'm going to put a new nozzle in it, check the electrodes, clean them up, and I'm sure we'll have heat tonight. So everybody stay safe out there, and yeah, take care.